The early favorites, it's a big line. Seems that way. Celtics minus 6.5. The Celtics minus 250 on the money line. The Mavs are 200, plus 200. And then the total is set at 214 and a hook. The Celtics, if you're looking at series prices, are minus 225. The Mavs are plus 180. So I will ask you the question that you asked me early in the show, which is, when you saw this early line, Celtics laying 6.5, did you think right on, too low, too high?
I think it's probably statistically correct, but I still think I would take the points with the Mavericks. And here's my prediction.
Okay.
I think this line, because we saw most of the public on the Mavericks last night, I think people have come around to Dallas, and especially when you have the superstar combo like Luka and Kyrie, I think the public's going to be very interested in taking the points with the Mavericks. So maybe if you like the Mavericks, you get it now. Hopefully it doesn't dip too low. But the Celtics are certainly a force to be reckoned with. And you've got to remember that they've been laying some monster numbers in the postseason. But I will counter with the fact, I know I'm arguing with myself, kind of like Skip Bayless and all of those like videos that they make fun of him. But you look at the Celtics, they have not been great at covering numbers. They only covered once in a series in which they swept the Indiana Pacers. And as far as talent goes, and as far as closing out games go, the Mavericks are much better in the final 3 minutes of games as opposed to the Pacers. Because think back to that series. Even though it was a sweep, the Pacers were very much in several of those games. So if you're giving me 6.5 points with the Mavericks, a team that does not crumble in the final few minutes of the game, I think I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I'm sort of in agreement with you here. And are you worried? Well, here's the thing. This is going to be a long layoff for both teams. It's going to be a really long layoff for the Celtics. They've been sitting around for a while just waiting for their opponent. Is that something that you worry? It's always that question where, that balance between, are you rusty? Or do you want to keep that momentum going? Are you rested? Like, which one is it? And I feel like this is such a rest for both teams that it probably isn't a factor here. But it will have been a long time since the Celtics have been on the court. But is that really a factor or no?
I think it's definitely a factor, but I don't know if it goes in one team's favor or another. Because ordinarily, I would say it goes against the Celtics. But also, don't they get Kristaps Porzingis back? So when health is an issue, the extra rest is certainly a good thing. Like, think about the NBA postseason similar to, like, the NFL playoffs. To where I know basketball's not nearly as physical as the NFL, but if your health is in question, that extra rest is a big difference maker, and it goes towards the pros side as opposed to the cons. So I think for Kristaps Porzingis getting back on the court, but that's going to be an X factor too. Like, this Celtics team has been gelling so well. What happens when you add another player to the mix who on paper is going to be a big asset? A guy that averages 20 points, 7 rebounds throughout the regular season. And of course, in theory, he should make their team a lot better. But do you ever worry about like the chemistry of a team when they add a piece back?
Yeah, especially now. And certainly he's a positive. You want him on the court. They brought him in and signed him just for this purpose, right? They wanted to switch up the roster. That's why they brought in Kristaps. That's why they brought in Drew Holiday. And they will need those guys defensively. But I do think that's a good point in that when everything's going so well with your team and everything is clicking, and certainly that can be said of the Celtics. They look great right now. They're the favorites for a reason. Even though you want to add that player to the mix to make your team better, you don't want to disrupt anything when you're this close to a title and everything is going so well. So you're going to play him. You're sort of, it's not damned if you do or damned if you don't, but there is a risk of inserting someone new into the rotation when you've sort of had things figured out more recently. So I get that. But ultimately, he needs to play. He should play. But it is a possibility where all of a sudden it throws things off.
All right, here we go. And then wait for it to go back.
I was going to say, I'm going to wait for it to go.
Oh, I was hoping NHL for you.
Another baseball bet.
All right, that's fine. Here we go. Baseball today. Let's go to the National League here. Cardinals at Phillies. St. St. Louis
I
is
hate
plus
the Cardinals.
I'm sorry, plus 155 on the money line. Phillies minus 190. Your total set at 8. Your pitching matchup: Miles Mikolas, Aaron Nola.
Ooh, because the pitching matchup, and on first glance, you would say this has to be Phillies, right? But surprisingly, the Cardinals have been really hot. They've been one of the hottest teams in all of baseball, 7-1 in their last 8. And this is why I grimaced when you said Cardinals, because the Cardinals are not a good team, and they should not be bet on. But again, it's a team that has a lot of confidence right now. But I'm not going to be going against Aaron Nola and company. So I think this is a bet where you look at the first 5. Aaron Nola has been fantastic. 6-2 for a reason, 3.17 ERA. The Phillies have won each of the last 3 starts, and comfortably so, winning 8-4, 11-5, 4-0 in each of those last 3 starts. So what's the price on this one? I would imagine I have to do first 5 run line to get any kind of value.
I don't have first 5 stuff, but I've got Philly minus 190 for the full game.
Yeah, so you'd have to take first 5 run line.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, none of us did. It's a mail it in Friday, so we're just kind of guessing.
Right.
But my bet would be first 5 run line. Can't trust the Phillies bullpen, but they are one of the best first 5 teams in all of baseball. In fact, they're number 1. So first 5 run line on the Phillies. We don't know the price because it's a mail it in Friday. All right, Jenks, do you care to go again?
Of course I do. Spin that wheel. Let's do it. This is
Here
my
we
kind of
go.
handicapping.
Boop.
Come on, no bankrupt. No bankrupt.
We need a free spin space.
Oh,
It's backing itself
this
up again.
thing. Oh my God.
Dealer's choice.
All right.
Mm.
There you go. Jinx, we already did the one NHL game tonight. Chelsea, of course, took the Stars in that one at
Good
minus
call.
130. Tomorrow, there is, though, game 6, Rangers-Panthers. It's an elimination game, of course, because the Panthers are up 3 games to 2. So New York is plus 140 on the money line. Florida, the home team, looking to clinch and go to the Cup Finals, minus 165. Your total at 5.5. What are you doing in game 6?
I think it's the Panthers. Just based, and I have a future on the Rangers, but there's been some questions in goal. The Panthers were absolute rock stars at home this season, and this is their chance to close it out. What's the price on the Panthers again?
Minus 165.
God, I'm gonna lay $1.65. That's too expensive.
It's
Do you
hockey,
want-
though.
Do you want the
I
puck
feel like
line?
you can justify it in hockey.
Yeah, I guess you can. You know what? Who cares? Panthers minus 165 in Sunrise.
You lay a goal and a half, you'll get plus 155 if you think like an empty netter will make the difference at the end.
You know what? Let's do that. It's going to be tight late. 1-goal lead for the Panthers. Rangers have to have. I mean, they pull out all the stops, right? All of a sudden, it's a 4-2 win with
With an empty netter. Yep.
empty netter. Let's do that.
Oh,
Love it.
the
Minus-
total's 5.5, Jenks.
Maybe it goes over.
I'm going to do a first 5 under 4.5 between the Yankees and the Giants. Now, full disclosure, I want a 4 in this game because I would rather not lay minus 160. But right now, that's the only number I can find. And this is the bet that I want to make. So later in the day, if you find a 4 for palatable juice, just do that. All right, so back to this game. Looking at a great starting pitcher matchup here between Jordan Hicks and Marcus Stroman. Jordan Hicks has been incredible at home so far this season. 2-0 with a 1.85 ERA. The reason I'm not playing the full game is because the Giants bullpen is absolutely dreadful. Then you look at Marcus Stroman, who has been fantastic as of late. Over his last 3 starts, he's allowed a total of 1 run. Then you look at the Yankees and the Giants. Both these teams kind of lend themselves to the under. If you look at the Giants at home, they're 17-10-1 to the under. Yankees on the road, 18-12-2 to the under. I think that we see far fewer runs in this one. Plus, it's at a less hitter-friendly park in San Francisco as opposed to the Yankees, who normally play in a very home run-friendly stadium. So let's bank on both these pitchers to be good. First 5 under 4.5 between the Yankees and the Giants.